Throughout the years, many people have gone missing and have never been found. Some of these cases can be really eerie and often yield strange discoveries. Number 5. Bruno Manser was one of nature's activists as well as a human rights activist. He was a 46-year-old man of Swiss descent and had spent time in the alpine pasture where he had herded animals, milked livestock, made butter, and went on many journeys. His dream was to live in nature. He had decided to follow his dream by settling in Borneo in the early 1980s, where he would reside among the Penan people, which were a nomadic group belonging to Borneo. Bruno had even learned their language, acquired their features, and embraced their behavior. Bruno was a known activist and adopted the Penan efforts of saving the jungle in which they resided. He was a vocal advocate for the Penan tribe as well, which awarded him to be a person of interest by authorities. He didn't live with the Penan forever due to the difficulties he faced within the forest, and he left the area in 1990, returning to Switzerland. However, he continued his advocacy for the Penan tribe and wrote a book called Voices of the Forest. In 1993, Bruno embarked on a 60-day hunger strike at the Swiss Federal Building in Bern, with the intent of banning wood from the tropical forests. Unfortunately, due to his kind demonstrations in hopes of saving the tribes and rainforests, Bruno had been seen as a threat to the state and was arrested in 2000. However, he managed to evade this by settling in the Sarawak rainforest in May of 2000. It's said that he forwarded toward the Batu Lawi, which is the Twin Peaks of Sarawak. And after this, he vanished into thin air. Many expeditions in search of Bruno were carried out, but yielded no evidence as to where he might be. He nor his body were ever found. Many helicopters had flown over the rainforest in search of Bruno. His friends, the Penan tribe, even combed the forest in hopes of finding him, but he remained lost. It was stated that his backpack has also not been located within the forest. He would now be the age of 69 years old. No description of his height, weight, or other features have been disclosed. But based on photographs of him with the Penan tribe, Bruno seems to have brunette hair which was short at the time. It's also known that he wears glasses. Bruno Manser vanished under suspicious circumstances, and his disappearance remains a baffling mystery. Number 4. Lena Chapin was 21 years old when she went missing from Dent County in Missouri. She was last seen on the 14th of February 2006 on Valentine's Day. However, her disappearance was not reported until 2 years later, in the year of 2008, which would not have happened if it were not for the sheriff of Berry County intervening in the case. A file on Lena's disappearance had not been opened until 2012, which led to the discovery that she may have been staying with her fiancé, Jason Bryant, outside of Steelville at the time. Jason had told investigators that he left the apartment on the morning of the 14th of February in 2006 and had promised to return home. But when he did arrive back that evening, he instead found Lena's mother, cleaning out her daughter's belongings from the apartment. Jason never saw Lena or heard from her from that day forward. Lena's mother told Jason that she had run off with another man to Florida, but this was not accepted by Jason due to the fact that her clothing was still there, all of her photos, her car, and most importantly, her son. In 1999, 13-year-old Lena had been the witness to a crime involving her stepfather, Gary McCullough, who disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Lena had been the only key witness at the time. Gary's disappearance had also taken a number of days to be reported, which leads to the question of why both disappearances had been accounted for only days later. It's widely speculated that Lena's disappearance is directly connected to the incident involving her stepfather. The story surrounding Gary, though, shows indication of many inconsistencies. Furthermore, Lena's sisters hadn't reported her missing either, due to the fear of those involved. Lena's family are still in search of any evidence that will aid with bringing Lena home. Lena was described as a protector of her loved ones. She was said to be kind, smart, and outgoing. Many described her as a fun and full-of-life individual. Lena is detailed as a Caucasian female who weighed 130 pounds and had a height of 5 foot and 10 inches. She had blue eyes and brown hair. Notably, she has a tattoo of Love Daddy and mushrooms on the lower region of her back. Any information regarding this individual should be reported to the Missouri State Highway Patrol or Sergeant Robert Vaughn at 417-895-6868 or the Missouri State Highway Patrol Missing Person Unit at 1-800-877-3452. Number 3. Camelo Gordera was a revolutionist in Cuba. He was born in Havana in February of 1932. Camelo was a member of the 1956 Granma expedition. After the defeat of the Batista forces in 1958 and the successful revolution in 1959, Camelo took the position of authority within the army. He's considered to be one of the greatest heroes of the revolution. Camelo is also said to be artistically inclined, and he later became involved in government policy protests. In 1955, Camelo had been injured by Batista soldiers, and this marked the moment where he made the decision that he would free Cuba. In the middle of 1957, he had been promoted to commandant. Later in 1958, Camelo led an attack on the city of Santa Clara. Most of the crew had been ambushed, but Camelo came out on the other side. After the Batistas fled the country, Camelo was awarded the title of the third most powerful man of Cuba, and in 1959 he was promoted again to the head of the Cuban Armed Forces. In October of 1959, Camelo was sent by Fidel Castro to arrest Huber Matos on the account that he believed Huber was plotting against him. According to later accounts, Camelo had been reluctant to make the arrest but still followed through with it. But on the night of the 28th of October in 1959, Camelo had been on his return flight to Havana after the completion of the arrest. Upon this return flight, his plane had disappeared entirely, along with Camelo himself. No trace of him or his aircraft have ever been found. A search by air, water, and ground had been carried out, but to no avail. It was also later stated that he and the plane had disappeared within a storm during the flight. A month later, in November of 1959, there had been a claimed sighting of Camelo, where the witness stated that the right-hand man of Fidel Castro had shaved his beard and had been residing in the city of Ybor. But this claim was never confirmed. Many theories rose surrounding the disappearance, some of which suggested the involvement of Fidel Castro, but Camelo's body and aircraft have still not been found to this day. Number 2. In the year of 1929, a German doctor named Friedrich Ritter fled from Germany with Dora Strauss to the Galapagos Islands. They settled on Floriana Island, which was a particularly harsh environment, but the two managed to thrive, and they became famous for this. The two lovers who lived on a secluded island managed to live a life all their own. This had sparked more settlers to attempt the same way of living, but could not withstand the harshness and would leave shortly after. But then a German family consisting of Heinz and Margaret Whitmer and their son came to stay on the island. The two families would often help each other if the other was in need. Shortly after, the settlers were followed by the arrival of Eloise Werburn Wagner Bosquet, who was accompanied by Rudolf Lorenz and Robert Philipson. They had the intention of building a hotel on the island. Eloise would stand and wait for passing ships to greet them, and also told incredible stories until passers-by would intentionally come to see her. But Eloise's stay soon took a turn when she disappeared on the 27th of March in 1934, along with Robert. According to Margaret, the settlers were boarding a yacht which was heading for Tahiti, but it was later uncovered that no such yacht had entered the Galapagos Island region. Rudolf Lorenz attempted to get back to Germany with the aid of Norwegian fishermen. Both Rudolf and the fisherman named Nugerud had disappeared. Their bodies had later been discovered on Marchena Island. Margaret Staunch also later wrote a book on her experiences on the island, where she detailed that on the particular day of which Eloise went missing, the island had been eerily quiet, which was broken by a scream, and then after that, nothingness. Margaret stands by her claim of the yacht entering the island, even though no evidence has arisen of this account. Eloise and Robert were never seen or heard from again. Many speculations arose from the strange disappearances and untimely partings of two of the island's former inhabitants. The events leading up to the incidents are highly suspicious, but no evidence has come to light regarding what may have unfolded. A documentary was made highlighting the events that occurred on the island, called The Galapagos Affair. The disappearances of Eloise and Robert remain a strange, eerie mystery. Number 1. A British teacher of Cambridge named George Leigh Mallory made up part of the Mount Everest expedition crew. In 1922, the team embarked on a journey to find the best possible route to the top of Mount Everest. they came to find a possible path through the Rongbuk Glacier. In 1922, the team set out to reach the summit of Everest, but the lives of some climbers had been claimed in the event of an avalanche, and another expedition had to be arranged in the years to come, and that year was 1924. A new member joined the climb. His name was Andrew Irvine, who was an Oxford student. There had been 2 failed climbing attempts, and on the third one, George had Andrew as his climbing companion. Andrew had extensive knowledge on the oxygen they needed to reach the peak, and he was also the athletic type. The climb took place on the 8th of June. One of the other climbers had last seen the companion climbers, George and Andrew, at 12:50 p.m. near the base of a final pyramid. After this account, both men had not been seen since. George Mallory's body would later be found in 1999, but he'd been equipped with a camera which had not been located. The missing camera plays a crucial part in the events that unfolded on the mountain. He was carrying a Kodak VPK camera. Several expeditions have been set forth in hopes of recovering it. It may have the photograph of when George and Andrew reached the top of the mountain, but now no one will know if they ever did get to the peak. Additionally, it may lead to evidence that will solve the long-lasting mystery. It was suggested that George could have given the camera to Andrew, who has still not been located. In later years, expeditions following George and Andrew's trail were carried out in search of Andrew's body and the missing camera. George had been the last person to see Andrew. Both of them were last seen at 274 meters from the final summit. No conclusive evidence has since been unearthed regarding what may have occurred on Mount Everest to the 2 climbers, and Andrew Irvine's body remains lost on the mountain. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.